She told the nurses that they had planned to name the girls Andrea and Arden, but moments after their birth, Tim heard Campbell say, "Hush, little Meredith. There, Mallory." And barely had he opened his mouth to object when Campbell snapped, "I know what we planned, but when you give birth to 2 babies in 2 minutes, you can name them Batman and Robin if you want. Their names are Meredith and Mallory." Campbell never forgot to mention that, technically, the girls were born in different years. It made them unique, and if Campbell wanted anything, it was never to diminish the twins' uniqueness. At least as far as their mother knew, they had little enough of that to begin with, certainly when they were small. But even before they were born, the babies knew how it was to be completely bonded and completely opposite. Meredith was happy by basic nature. She would always love pretty things, pretty people, and hopeful solutions. Mallory was intense and would always worry, even when she didn't need to. She would look at questions in complicated ways and refuse to accept the easy answer. Mary would attract friends the way Velcro picks up tennis balls, while Mallory, unless she was playing sports, would spend most of her time with her sister or else alone by choice. Before they came into the great world, she was the baby content to float in the warm, dark seas, examining her fingertips and stroking her cheek, trying to figure out what being a person meant. Meredith wanted to feel and find everything. Side to side and up and down she zoomed like a mermaid in flight. All that zooming got on Mallory's nerves as months passed, and the quarters got closer in there. She sometimes put out a tiny hand to slow her sister down, and Meredith always responded. At Mallory's touch, she settled down and, entwined, head to foot, they would drift into sleep, as the voices from outside slipped into their dreams. These voices were ones they grew to recognize, as they bloomed from pink buds to babies fully formed, with fingers and toes and personalities, separated only by a wall of muscle from the great world all around them. They heard the voice of their mother, giving and taking orders all day, a quick, light, practical note in a room where the beeping and whooshing and clanging were the music. There was their father, friendly and loud, but also protective and calm. There was the voice of their grandmother, a soft voice that always alerted the babies to listen closely, even before they were born. One day, the twins listened as Gwenny told her daughter-in-law that both babies were girls. Much as she loved her mother-in-law, Campbell was annoyed. Like any new mother, or at least most of them, she wanted the surprise. So her voice was sharper than she meant it to be when she asked just how her mother-in-law knew the baby's gender and why she considered this so important. Yes, she knew that all the women in her husband's family supposedly had the sight, but at least back then Campbell thought that the sight was a bunch of baloney. And so Gwenny's prediction was just a lucky guess. Campbell wiggled her foot with impatience. She wished that Gwenny would get on with it. "Well, they're both girls, so they're probably identical twins. Identical twin girls run in our family," Gwenny said. "I thought you should be ready. Twins are different from other babies, and not just because there are 2 of them. They're joined. Not joined like kids who are born sharing a hip or a rib. Joined by the spirit." Campbell still didn't get why this was such a big deal. She'd read up on identical twins in several authoritative books from the library. What Gwenny seemed to want to tell her was something else, something more. But she didn't say anything else, or anything more. Finally, Campbell decided that Gwenny was being unnecessarily dramatic. Being dramatic seemed to run in her husband's family, too. The baby twins sensed, however, not with words, but with feelings, that what Gwenny said about their being inseparable was important. And they were inseparable. After they were born, for example, they fretted and sobbed in their sweet little cradles. Meredith couldn't bear to be away from Mallory. Mallory was cranky and tense if she couldn't see her twin. Their mother finally decided to ignore the expert's advice. Weary to the ends of her fingers, she put them together in one cradle next to their parents' big bed. From then on, she found them each morning, one right side up and one upside down, each clasping the other's tiny foot.